Hello, everyone. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Freddy. Enjoy the movie. In the first scene of the film, a socially awkward dentist named Dr. Freddy Jinwala is shown waiting for his date while sitting at a cafe. We learn that Freddy has been unsuccessfully looking for a partner for the past 5 years. Freddy is fortunate to see the woman, but he is so happy that he accidentally knocks over the water glass on the table. Freddy offers the woman the lovely flower, but as they converse, things become awkward when she notices Freddy acting strangely and repeatedly focusing on the chain on her chest. Furious, the woman gets up and says, "I had an appointment with a client," with a stern smile. She promises to get back to him later, but her bouquet is nowhere to be seen. Feeling wounded by the unfavorable conclusion of his date, Freddy believes she won't be calling and spends another lonely night painting planes with Hardy, his best buddy. When Aunt Persis, Freddy's grandmother, calls to see how he's doing, she's equally as shocked to hear that he's unhappy at the bad conclusion of his date. The following day, Freddy goes about his daily business at work. However, when he comes home, a woman who found him on a dating app calls him. She informs Freddy that she has looked over his profile and thinks their compatibility is ideal. Freddy requests that they meet at Blue Cafe, where he had met the women on his prior dates, after she sets them up on a date. The next day, Freddy receives a lovely flower and has to wait what seems like an age to see the woman. He quickly discerns that the woman is not going to appear. A group of buddies make fun of him as he prepares to leave for spending too much money on pricey flowers, and the men quote his date verbatim. At this point, Freddy understands that they most likely staged the date by pretending to be women. A Blue Cafe worker confesses that Freddy has been visiting for the previous 5 years and expresses sympathy for him in the meantime. Later on, when Freddy occasionally goes out with his Aunt Persis, she constantly badgers him to find a girlfriend. After telling her that he will receive one before she passes away, Freddy's aunt damages his feelings by hinting that he won't receive one for another 100 years. She goes on to say that he has been quiet ever since he was a young child, and she begs him to come out of his shell and talk to any attractive women in the area. At that moment, his aunt asks Freddy if he knows the lovely woman who is beaming at them. Freddy is astounded by the woman's beauty as he glances at her. His aunt gives him some support, so he approaches her. Rather than striking up a usual conversation, though, he becomes apprehensive and asks why she is staring at him. The woman gives the impression that she wasn't staring at him before her husband shows up. The inebriated guy strikes Freddy, threatening to murder him if he ever approaches his wife again, believing that his wife has been flirting with him. Later on in the evening, Freddy can't stop thinking about the stunning woman since she plagues his nightmares. The next day, he goes back to work and attends to an elderly woman before requesting his assistant to bring in the new customer. It turns out to be the woman of his dreams, which is unexpected. The woman tells him that a friend recommended her to him and apologizes for mistreating her spouse the day before. Identifying herself as Kainaaz, she informs him that she wants her wisdom tooth out. Freddy examines her tooth and is enthralled with her beauty. He then requests that she return the next day to have the tooth extracted. Kainaaz spots a photo of Freddy's mother, a well-known singer and cellist, before she leaves. She says that she was encouraged to play the cello by his mother, but that she had stopped recently. Consequently, Freddy develops a deeper romantic interest in her and fantasizes about starting a family with Kainaaz. When Kainaaz shows up at the clinic the following day, Freddy sends his helper on her way before beginning to remove her wisdom tooth. However, he wraps his face around Kainaaz's face and declares his love for her before the anesthesia wears off. A few moments later, Kainaaz wakes up. Freddy tells her that the surgery is over and requests that she return the next day for a checkup. When he inquires about Kainaaz's allergies, she replies that she can never wash dishes without gloves since she is allergic to dishwashing detergent and several other substances. He decides to pay her an unexpected visit after looking up her medical records and getting her address after she leaves. Later, Kainaaz comes home to her sultry husband Rustom asking her to supper. She tells him that she hadn't gotten around to making dinner since she had gone to the dentist to get her teeth fixed. Rustom accuses his wife of causing his extreme hunger as he hasn't eaten in the entire day. As things are getting closer to the end, Freddy is seen acting strangely and prowling around Kainaaz's house. Instead of seeing Kainaaz, as Freddy had hoped, he sees Rustom abusing her. He thinks about becoming involved at first, but he immediately decides against it since it would be too hard to justify his presence, and he leaves. That night, Freddy has a horrific nightmare about a time in his childhood when his father killed his mother and then himself. When Kainaaz fails to show up for her planned medical checkup the next day, Freddy calls to remind her to come so he can make sure her recovery from the operation is going well. After some hesitation, Kainaaz finally accepts. As they cross paths at a local park, Freddy observes that Kainaaz has new cuts on her face. She answers that she is stuck in an abusive relationship with Rustom and worries for her life if she tries to leave when he queries her out of concern. After Freddy makes the decision to ask Kainaaz out on a date, he decides to get a new haircut and outfit. When Rustom leaves Kainaaz's house the following day, he calls her to suggest a date, which she agrees to. It doesn't take long for Freddy and Kainaaz to fall in love as their feelings for one another intensify as they spend more time together. Freddy initiates a passionate kiss with her during their movie date at the theater, but Kainaaz flees right thereafter. Later, when Freddy tries to get in touch with her, she doesn't respond. Upon his arrival, he finds that her spouse has battered her once more. He consoles her and then makes a marriage proposal, to which she responds that she is already married and acknowledges that things may have turned out differently if she hadn't been dumped. While going home, Freddy tells his aunt about his lovely girlfriend and even brings up their future marriage, obligingly leaving out the information that she is already married. At this juncture, Freddy chooses to face Rustom. When he meets Kainaaz, he offers to kill Rustom as an extreme solution. Fearful, Kainaaz resists at first but soon yields to Freddy's demands. Freddy tells Kainaaz that he will take care of everything and requests that she stay away from him for a week. He then buys a gun and trains himself to use it, all the while seeing himself marrying Kainaaz once he has defeated Rustom. Later that week, Freddy follows Rustom on his jog as he waits for him outside his house. After thinking about pulling out the gun, he decides to run Rustom over with his automobile. Though at first he is hesitant, his love for Kainaaz pushes him on. Rustom eventually dies after being run over 3 times by him. Following Rustom's death, Freddy calls off his meetings and spends a week at his family's farmhouse in the hamlet. He imagines a future with Kainaaz when he gets to the settlement. The police look into Rustom's death over time, but they are unable to uncover any evidence. For a few days, Freddy works as a volunteer for the local villagers to draw attention away from himself. Freddy finds a person, has his car restored, and makes his way straight to Kainaaz's place before leaving the city. But when he goes to see Kainaaz, he's shocked to see Raymond, a complete stranger, answering the door. When it comes out that he is Kainaaz's covert boyfriend, Kainaaz begs Freddy to go, which makes Freddy wonder what's going on. Before long, Freddy learns that Kainaaz has been utilizing him to get rid of Rustom. Kainaaz shows him the incriminating pictures she intended to use as proof, threatening to report to the police that Freddy had pursued her and killed Rustom out of jealousy. Raymond steps in to stop Freddy as he menacingly approaches Kainaaz out of anger. While Kainaaz declares he will never fall in love with a freak like him, he beats Freddy to the ground. Freddy returns home dejectedly and wallows in grief as Hardy tries to calm him down. Meanwhile, Kainaaz and Raymond talk about how they want to make Rustom's restaurant a worldwide business, realizing Kainaaz's lifelong ambition of running her husband's eatery. Freddy ruins every item of clothing he purchased for his scheduled rendezvous with Kainaaz the following day. After that, he goes to her restaurant, where he watches Kainaaz and Raymond and gets a drink. Raymond approaches Freddy, but Kainaaz steps in to stop him. Despite Freddy's persistent requests for drinks, Raymond takes his drink from the waiter and spits into it before handing it to him. To his complete amazement, Freddy sips it while maintaining a composed demeanor. When Freddy merely asks Kainaaz to apologize, Raymond treats him in this way instead. Raymond tells Freddy that if he doesn't stop this foolishness, he will turn over those pictures and all the texts he sent to Kainaaz to the police. A determined individual, Freddy waits for Kainaaz and Raymond to vacate their flat before hiring a locksmith to force entry. He takes advantage of Kainaaz sensitivities by adding salt to their food and replacing Kainaaz's face wash with liquid dishwasher detergent. Freddy hides on the balcony as Kainaaz and Raymond unexpectedly return early. After the couple had a private moment in the adjoining room, Freddy mixes sleeping pills into their meal and leaves. When Freddy returns covertly to their flat later that night, he discovers Raymond and Kainaaz sound asleep. Using Kainaaz's phone, he sends himself a threatening text message. Then he erases all images from Raymond's phone that may be used as evidence. Freddy walks outside to remove the brake fluid from Raymond's automobile after venting his rage. When Kainaaz wakes up, she screams when she sees her allergic reaction in the mirror. Their car's brakes malfunction as they race to the hospital, causing a collision. Despite their survival, Kainaaz charges Raymond with putting her life at peril. The next day, Kainaaz finds out that her restaurant has been told to close as a patron discovered a lizard in their meal and left a bad review. The couple's private lives are further damaged while they are discussing the problem at the restaurant. Raymond's Facebook account is accessible to Freddy, who shared a private photo of the couple with everyone. Exasperated with the sequence of regrettable occurrences, Kainaaz resolves to face Freddy with Raymond after developing suspicions about his complicity. When Freddy answers the door, he appears to already be aware that the pair is there to look for him. But Raymond enters the fray in a ruthless manner. Unexpectedly, Freddy always appears to be one step ahead. Even before the couple shows up, he has already contacted the police. Kainaaz manipulates the situation by informing the police that, although she is unable to produce any proof, Freddy had stalked her and killed Rustom out of jealousy. One of the policemen is shocked by the charges and remarks on how well-liked Dr. Freddy is in the community before pointing out that Freddy erased all of the embarrassing pictures. Freddy gives the order for Kainaaz and Raymond to depart, grinning with satisfaction that his strategy seems to be working. A few days later, following a tranquil stroll with his aunt, Freddy comes home to find his apartment completely destroyed and there is a bullet in front of his door. When he phones Kainaaz, he explains that he left the snake in their flat because he already knows they are the ones behind this. When the two hear this, they start to panic and look for the snake, but they can't. They choose to stay at a motel because they cannot be sure where the snake might be. They happily tell Freddy in the motel that they have made his favorite turtle, Hardy, into soup. When Freddy watches his CCTV tape, he discovers that the couple really did kill Hardy, and Kainaaz advises they should get rid of Freddy. He becomes enraged as a result, and after getting rid of Hardy's possessions, he resolves to take appropriate retribution. He tells a homeless man to report to the police that he saw Rustom killed, using his high IQ to do so. He pays the man after giving him his license plate number. Consequently, the police visit Freddy's clinic and question the physician. Freddy lies and tells them that Raymond had taken his car to kill Rustom and proves it by showing the false messages which he had sent himself secretly when he was in Kainaaz's apartment. The irrefutable CCTV evidence of Raymond's flat break-in is the icing on the cake. The police get in touch with Kainaaz and Raymond, who are now the primary suspects, and ask them to come to the police station so they can provide a statement. Following the conclusion of the police call, Freddy contacts them from his isolated village home, telling them that he can put an end to this whole thing if they come to his farmhouse and apologize. Jokingly suggesting that they pack a suitcase, Freddy says he'll bring something back with him when he gets back. The couple reluctantly agrees because they are desperate, but their real goal is to murder him there. After a while, Kainaaz and Raymond arrive at the farmhouse, and Freddy greets them with warmth while hiding his brewing fury. He calmly takes out a revolver and sets it on the counter, then takes out a bottle of wine and offers them a drink. Kainaaz cautiously approaches Raymond and apologizes for what she did as he subtly gestures for her to take the weapon. But when she takes Freddy's gun and asks him if it's his father's gun, as well as saying that killing him with it will be much more embarrassing, her facade breaks. When Kainaaz presses the trigger, her evil scheme is derailed when she finds out the gun is empty of bullets. Raymond takes advantage of the situation and attacks Freddy, who promptly gets hold of a flashlight. Raymond teases Freddy about his flashlight, but it has a startling secret, a taser. Thus, Freddy succeeds in rendering Raymond and Kainaaz unable. The pair regain consciousness moments later, strapped to seats. A cruel twinkle lights in Freddy's eyes as he waves a dentist's kit around, remembering the days before anesthetic was used for teeth extractions. Due to the couple's non-appearance at the station and a possible trail of evidence, the police launched an investigation to locate the missing pair in the meantime. The officer's suspicions were heightened when he saw the couple leaving their apartment with luggage on CCTV. When Kainaaz returns to the farmhouse, Freddy lets her talk. She identifies Raymond as the mastermind behind their deeds and points the finger at him for Hardy's demise. Freddy pulls out his mother's cello and challenges Kainaaz to play it in an attempt to disprove her claim that he was inspired by his mother's musical ability. As Freddy had anticipated, Kainaaz's lie has come to light. She is incapable of playing the cello even when she fumbles with it. After putting her back in her chair, Freddy proceeds to remove every single tooth from Raymond and Kainaaz without the use of anesthesia, showing a terrifying determination in the process. Their horrific ordeal culminates in a graphic finale when Freddy, acting without regret, throws the couple into a recently excavated tomb. They lie powerless, expecting to be buried alive, and the grief they feel is unbearable. With a painful irony, Freddy admits that he still loves Kainaaz as he buries her and acknowledges the cruel joke that life has played on him. As the film comes to an end, we see Freddy lying in between the interred bodies, grinning, just before the screen becomes black.